again, before I read the question, I highlight what the question is so I can figure out what they want from me. I've highlighted it and it says the number of equivalent units of production for the period for conversion if the first in, first out method is used to cost the inventories. So all I'm concerned about here, I haven't read the question. I don't know what all the data is yet. I don't want to know. I want to know what the question was. And it says, I need to know the equivalent units of production as to conversion costs. So I'm going to be figuring out my equivalent units for conversion. So I've got to look at, I don't care about materials. All I want to look at is the beginning inventory, how much was done previous period, how much I have to finish filling the boxes, how much I started and completed, and how much ending inventory is there and how much I had partially converted it. All right, so here we go. Department E, change my color here, we'll go blue. Department E had 4,000 units in process that were 40% complete. So my beginning inventory is 4,000 at 40%. Okay? And then it says, reading on, and it has a cost of $12,500, I don't care. 14,000 units of direct material were added during the period at a cost of $28,700. I don't care about the cost. But it does say, I want to figure out my started and completed. It says I added 14,000 units. Okay? I added 14,000 units. It also says 15,000 units were completed during the period, and 3,000 units are 75%. So my ending inventory is 3,000 units at 75%. Okay, so I've just taken the information. I don't care about the materials and all that stuff. Here's what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to make a calculation. First of all, I need to finish filling up those boxes at the beginning inventory. So I'm not going to use 40%, I'm going to use 60% because that's how much I've got to do. And 4,000 times 60% is going to be, what's that, 2,400 units? Okay. Now, of the units that were started, some of them are still there. 14,000 units were started, and I have 3,000 left. So I could say that the units that were started and completed would be 14 minus 3. Another way you can figure it is it says there were 15,000 units that were completed. Oops, let me... 15,000 units. I'm going to do it a little different here. Started and completed. What's going on with my calculator? Let's go back to this. There we go. So I could go started and completed. There were 15,000 units completed. First in, first out, the beginning inventory is going to come out of that, so I'd subtract 4,000 and I'll get 11,000 units started and completed. Right? Sometimes you get the information, you have to calculate it that way. Let me say it again. There were 15,000 units that were completed. That says it right here. 15,000 units completed. Of that, I'm using first in, first out, so the beginning inventory completes first. I completed 4,000 units. Some of them were partially completed, but I finished them off. But I finished all 4,000, so they transferred out to finished goods. So of the units that were started and completed, or the units that were completed, 4,000 were beginning inventory, 11,000 were started and completed. So you can look at it that way. You could also do it where I had 14,000 units started, and I have 3,000 units that still remain, 11,000 units. I get the same answer either way. Okay? Now I have to look at the ending inventory. My ending inventory, I have 3,000 units that were 75% completed. So, sheesh, hold on, back, you dog, there you go. So I have, what, 2,100 units equivalent produced. So my total, then, if I add these together, if my addition is correct, No, it's not. Oh. This is 2250 here? Alright, let me fix that. If I can. Maybe. Come on there, computer. Help me out here. Here we go. Maybe not. It won't let me erase. I'm having a hard time here with my eraser. So I'll just scribble all over it and we'll rewrite it. 3,000 times 75 is 2250. So if I add all my production together, I'm going to have 5, 4 and 2 is 6, 2, 3, and 2 more is 5. So I get 15,650.